Good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. Good morning indeed. Happy Friday. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am Matt Watson, your host, and our show, if you are new to it, Eye on the Valley, is brought to you, as I said, by SCVi and iLead Charter Schools. We are a network of charter schools with campuses. You know, I always get people that interrupt me at that point and go, "What's a charter school? How are you different than public schools?" We are public schools. When I say charter, you say free. Charter! Yay! Anyways, we are a network of charter schools. We've got campuses on the west side of Santa Clarita, SCVi. We've got campuses on the east side of Santa Clarita, iLead Agua Dulce. We've got campuses in Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school. We've got a homeschool program that's just busting at the seams. They don't like me to call it homeschool. They like me to call it independent study. You'll learn why in just a few minutes. But you can check out all of our schools, classroom-based, independent study, or hybrid, at iLeadSchools.org. We've got something for every style of learning, because kids are different. They learn differently. We need to be teaching them differently. So check us out at iLeadSchools.org. Yeah, so we keep our eye on the valley, and we keep our eye on education, and that's why we call it what we do. So, we like to giggle and play and have a good time while we do our show as well. So yeah, settle in, pour that second cup of coffee, and stick around for a couple of hours. Whether you're in the car or at work or at home, enjoy the show, because we've got a great show for you today. Hi, it has been a week. I feel like just settling into the booth here is the first time I've had to relax. It's been a crazy week. It's been a tense week. I feel like we've all been on edge all week long. Yeah, the election on Tuesday had us, Monday and Tuesday, kind of just... that perpetual state, like when you were a kid in school and you would lean back in your chair and then catch yourself at the last moment. I feel like I felt that way the last 3 weeks. People are reeling. And some of the closer races still haven't been decided yet. It's Friday and we still don't know everybody, how everybody's settled in. So, and then right after the election on Wednesday, the winds kicked up and it feels like Southern California got set on fire. So we still got the mountain fire burning through the mountains between the highways 118 and 126. That's been particularly devastating. Sheesh. Nearly 20,000 people evacuated. Well, I was going to say dozens of homes destroyed, but it's a lot, unfortunately, a lot more than that. Over 20,000 acres burned. Still very low containment. It's tragic. Love on your neighbors, friends. Take care of each other. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. As a matter of fact, if we've got some time a little bit later on, I think what we'll do is update you on both of those, the elections, the fires, and kind of see what the status is, important stuff. But in the meantime, we do have a great show set up for you. Producer Sarah set up a fantastic one again today. Coming up in just a minute, we'll be talking about the absolutely, and I can say this unequivocally, the most innovative hybrid learning option around. And I'm talking about iLeadAV Exploration. They've got a hybrid learning program for students in transitional kindergarten. That's the babies, the little 4-year-olds, all the way through 8th grade. It's got all the benefits of a homeschool program, plus 2 weeks on campus, plus the support for families who would be saying, home study? No way, that's not for me. Yep, you can do it. Megan's gonna tell you all about how you can do it and how she can help you. Megan Hernandez is here in the studio. And then in hour number 2, we've got a couple of more guests coming in the studio, Jeff Stabile and Dennis Sugasawara. I'm going to get that name right before we wrap the show. Sugasawara, there we go, from the Veterans Services Collaborative. This Monday, friends, is Veterans Day, and it's more than just a 3-day weekend. So we need to take care of our veterans. Well, Jeff and Dennis are doing just that. So if you're a veteran, or if you know someone who's a veteran, or a family member of a veteran, you won't want to miss that. And yes, as always, Big T will be here at the end of the show. He calls in with trivia questions and other fun stuff. We send you off with some fun, some laughs, into the weekend. This weekend, a 3-day weekend. Yay. So stick around. It's going to be a great show. As I said, Megan Hernandez is my first guest this morning. Megan has been in education for over a quarter of a century. Throughout her career, she's served as a teacher's aide, a middle school English teacher, a substitute teacher, a homeschool teacher, and finally an educational facilitator in the most incredible hybrid home study program, iLeadAV Exploration. She loves her learners, her leaders, her fellow facilitators. She's passionate about teaching and learning. She's a gifted writer, and she feels like she's found her home and a way to truly make a difference at iLead. Megan, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you.
So glad to have you. So we were talking about hybrid learning, and I know that's got some folks probably scratching their head. Other folks, know that, wow, that's really a big buzzword. Hybrid learning is kind of all the rave, especially post-COVID. So explain to our audience kind of what that means to teach a hybrid home study program.
Okay, yeah, hybrid is one of those things you can use to describe so many different things.
Sure.
For us, it's mostly a hybrid of what's a more traditional home study program, which would look more like, the parent chooses a curriculum from an approved list, but a big list.
Yeah.
And, they meet with that teacher once a month. They maybe turn in, a few samples of work a month, but for the most part, they're kind of on their own. And that works beautifully for some people.
Sure. And
then also you've got like kind of like more traditional independent study where like, here's all the work, you do it, and then you just give it to us, So
Okay.
we've kind of, it's a blend of, home study with the freedom, the flexibility to do your schedule, to do what you need to do, but with a ton of support. So we assign the curriculum, we provide the curriculum, we assign it, we collect the work, we grade it, we offer weekly, 3 times a week, synchronous instruction on Zoom. We have in-person workshops. So it's kind of like a really beautiful blend of like traditional school and home study and independent study and a lot of things.
That sounds like a lot of work for you. It certainly doesn't sound like what people traditionally think of when they think of homeschool, like you said. And we do have another program for that. We'll talk about that maybe some other week, where the parents are like in the driver's seat and fully handling everything, which is usually what scares a lot of families, right?
Right.
My kid needs a home study program, but I can't do that, right? And I remember years ago, my son said, yeah, I want to do homeschool. And that was my first response. Nope, I can't do that. Not you can't. I
Right.
can't do that. Parents, think about that. But you guys provide computers for all of your learners so that they can access the core curriculum. You provide that full core curriculum. Let's talk about that. So tell us about that curriculum.
So we, the foundation of our curriculum, what we sort of started with and the basis is Bookshark, which is a literature-based curriculum. There's a lot of reading. There's, learner reads, parent reads to learner, they read together, and it all kind of ties together. And we still use that as our base, our foundation. We still do the novels, which we think have been really helpful in like improving reading scores. The kids love them. But we've also made some adjustments to kind of meet the needs of those those foundational skills that we were wanting to see. So we're using some essentials in writing, which is a really great writing program that helps, with the building blocks of here's how you build a sentence, here's how you build a paragraph, and then eventually here's how you build an essay. And we're using Studies Weekly, which is a really fun, engaging, it has like a cute little newspaper. It has a website, and they can go online and they can, interact with the website, but it also meets all of those like state standards for the social studies. So we've added a couple of things in there, but we're mostly doing like the Bookshark curriculum.
So I love that. So for a family that would say, yeah, need to pull my kid out of the traditional brick and mortar, don't know what to do. You've kind of made all those tough decisions and just handed it to the parent and said, yeah, come on, you can do this. We'll talk a little bit about some of the other support that you provide families. But another, similarity and difference at the same time from the traditional home study charter schools, what families know those programs for is their educational funds, right?
Right.
And they kind of get an account where they have to, like you said, they have to figure out which curriculum they're going to purchase with their funds. Do you guys offer educational funds as well, or is it nope, no funds, here's your curriculum?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely we do. I mean, that's the sort of the beautiful part about it, because I homeschooled my kids for years in a,
Okay.
more traditional model. And I loved it, but sometimes you spend all this money on a curriculum and then it comes and you're like, "Oh, this is it."
And I got no money left.
Right. Yeah, it's I can't return it. But so we've done all the research for you. We've done all the troubleshooting. We've made all these adjustments, and we're like, hey, this is it. Like, we've hit on it. This is it. And here you go. And then we also offer educational funds for things like dance lessons, art lessons, horseback riding. We have a really cool ninja gym. There's similar ones out here, but in Lancaster, we have this cool ninja gym. Kids love that.
A ninja gym. How
Yeah,
awesome is that?
yeah.
Sorry, I can't play soccer right now, guys. I'm going to the ninja gym.
Right. Yeah, it's awesome. And so they can use their funds for things like that. They can also use their funds for tutoring, online classes. So there's just a lot of things that they can do with that for their extracurricular.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So a family walks in the door, they get a computer, they get the core curriculum, they get educational funds for the supplemental, whether it's music classes, dance classes, a ninja gym, tutoring, things like that. It sounds like the perfect scenario for a family that doesn't want to send their kids. And I think I remember when you all first opened up, there was a tremendous amount of thought going into it with a very specific population in mind. So talk to me, what grades do you serve at iLeadAV Exploration?
We serve TK through 8th grade.
Okay.
For now. There's
go on.
There's the possibility that we might be adding high school.
That would be great. So if families are thinking about that for high school, important to get their foot in the door now. So let's talk about your name a little bit. Your iLeadAV Exploration. You're located in the Antelope Valley, and so a lot of folks out here in Santa Clarita already said, "Nuts, I live way down here." Is that a problem or?
No, actually, we have some families that live further south than here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do offer a lot of in-person opportunities. We have workshops on our campus twice a week. Every Tuesday we have art. Every Thursday it's sort of like a rotation. It could be, social, emotional stuff. It can be like STEM. It's just kind of, that supplemental stuff. And so, but you don't have to come to those. And so the families who live, it's not like a school day where it's required. It's optional.
So they're optional. Great.
Yeah, they're optional. So some families do make the trip, though. We have families that drive like an hour for this because the kids love it so much. So it is an option, but it's not a requirement. So, if you live out here or you live even further, everything is available virtually. Our synchronous instruction happens on Zoom. Our meetings happen on Zoom. So
so you can access everything without ever going up to the Antelope Valley into the studio, but you have that option there. And how awesome, for families that say, I'm going to, keep my kid at home for school, but I also have the opportunity to drop them off a couple days a week if I want to. And I'm sure lots of your families
they do. They
shove
love
the kids
it.
out the door and woohoo!
Yeah, we have some families that have like 4 or 5 kids, and that's just like I would imagine like the best day ever when they're like, here you go, and
it's
then they
your
get
turn
to go get a coffee or whatever.
Well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So we talked about all the support that you have in terms of the curriculum and the guidance. Talk to me about the actual professional support that you provide.
Okay.
You're an EF, an educational facilitator. What support do you provide families as they're going along through this journey with their education?
Okay, so let's just say someone's just signed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them a call. I'm going to find out, why they're here so that I can sort of gauge what kind of supports they're going to need. So sometimes it's like, oh, we're here because they were really struggling in, academically and they kept falling behind. So I'm like, okay, so this is, now I know what I need to do. Or, maybe it was social emotional, maybe it was bullying, maybe they just, or maybe the family just was really intrigued by homeschooling. So I kind of, will find out from the family what why they're here,
Sure.
so that we all know how we can support them.
Okay.
And then I'm going to set up a time. They're going to get their curriculum and their Chromebook. They're going to get the Zoom schedule. They're going to get the workshop sign up so they can sign their kids up for those cool drop-off opportunities. And we go through a whole orientation. We kind of show them this is what's going to happen. And then they, take off. And then once a month we meet on Zoom. Or it can be in person. For most people choose Zoom just 'cause it's more convenient for them. But it can be in person. And we, how's this going? What can we adjust? Do you need something modified for your learner? Do you need something, so scaffolded, some extra support? Or sometimes it's this is kind of easy for them. Oh, okay, great. How can we challenge them? How can we give them a little bit more? How can we, So we do that once a month. And then, if you're a learner that wants to do all the things, then once you start, it's all right, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you've got Zoom. Tuesday, Thursday, you're going to go to workshops. These are our schedules. We're going to get our work done in this time and this time. And then if you're I'm going to be in my pajamas all day.
Yeah.
And, maybe we have a slow morning and then we do our work. Or maybe we're going to go to our horseback riding lesson before we start our work for the day. And we're going to maybe work in the later afternoon. That's the beautiful thing about it being home study. It's up to you. It's at your discretion. But it's also, there's structure put in place, which I think a lot of parents really appreciate, because otherwise it's kind of oh, wow, it's Thursday and we forgot to do math. We'll make sure that doesn't happen. But you also have all that freedom to kind of do things on your own.
It's amazing. I get a lot of the phone calls working in marketing for our schools. I get a lot of the phone calls. I get a lot of the emails asking about options. As a matter of fact, the email address that we have is options@ileadcalifornia.org. And they're asking, what a lot of families say is, it's 2024 and we do live in California and I'm worried about some of the things that my kids are being taught. Now, we are teaching all of the required state curriculum, but when your families do that intake process, you can talk to them about, okay, here's how we're going to teach your kids how to think, but not what to think, right?
Yeah.
And so that's an important factor that a lot of families, but then there's, they kind of feel stuck in between I want to pull my kids, but I can't homeschool them.
Yes.
With iLeadAV Exploration, you can. My guest this morning is Megan Hernandez. She is an EF, an educational facilitator with iLeadAV Exploration. Like I said, and you got to be agreeing with me at this point, the most innovative, free, hybrid public learning option for transitional kindergarten, your 4-year-olds through 8th grade. More with Megan when we get back. I'm Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley, and you're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I'm joined this morning by Megan Hernandez. Megan is an EF, an educational facilitator with iLeadAV Exploration. Megan, before the break, we were talking about the format of your school and how it really was built around kind of that post-COVID thought of families need an option to keep their kids at home for tons of reasons. I'm sure we could finish the show with going over all the different reasons that families come to you, but don't necessarily have the experience, acumen, inclination to choose all of the curriculum and do all of the things on their own. We need to provide families with this option to stay home, but with all the support they need, as well as you offer 2 days in person that families can drop off free of charge, but not required. Absolutely amazing. So paint us a picture. What does the typical week for a student in your program actually look like?
Well, that's kind of the beautiful thing, is that it can be up to the family. Like I was saying, if you want to do all the things, then your week looks like it's Monday. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to be on my Zoom class with my facilitator, and I'm going to see my friends. They it's really cute. We have second and third and fourth, my co-teacher and I, and they're like, hi. It's they get to just see their friends. We are going to go through, some skills. We're going to do math and language arts. We're going to do fun brain breaks. We'll get up and do the little Go Noodle exercise videos. We do the little quiz games, all kinds of stuff. And then, okay, class is over. So now maybe I'm going to have lunch. Maybe I'm going to, we're going to get some work done. Oh, I have a piano lesson. I'm going to go do that. It's really, that could be your day. Or like I said, it could be you sleep right through my class.
That was me in college.
And then you get up, and then you guys, you do your work on your schedule, what works for you guys. And yeah, Tuesday, I'm going to go to a workshop. I'm going to do some art. We have a really wonderful art teacher who taught in the Palmdale School District for 10 years. So she's like a legit art teacher. You don't want me teaching your kids art. Like, let me just tell you that right now. And my kids on Zoom know, because we'll do little drawing activities and they see my drawing, and that's not it. So
right. I love how you do that so that they don't feel intimidated. Yeah,
I do. They probably think I'm doing it to make them feel better, but I'm not. But yeah, so you'll go to art class. Again, go home. Maybe you have another lesson. Maybe you're going to do some schoolwork. And then once a month, it's time to meet with our teacher. So we're all going to get on Zoom. We're going to talk. They're going to tell me about what they've been learning. I'm going to, talk about how, this is going. This is great. How can we challenge you? How can we support you? So it really can look however you want it to look. But again, with that built-in structure, which I think is helpful, because again, like I said, I homeschooled my kids, and I really would have loved something like this. I really would have. I mean, and I'm a teacher. Like, I know how to teach, but it's so easy to let the day get away from you. But when you have that structure built in, and you have somebody that's like, here you go, this is what you're going to do this week, and this is when you're going to turn it in, and, then I'm going to look at it, and all of that. It just keeps you accountable. And that's what a lot of families, I was surprised how many families wanted that, because I'm used to the more like hands off.
Right. No, let me do it as the parent.
Which is fine. I mean, if that, like I said, that can be a really beautiful thing too. But it's like you said, it really was after COVID. There was all these parents that were like, either I don't feel comfortable sending my kids back to school, especially in the early days when, they might have health problems. We had parents with COPD that were like, I just can't send you back to the classroom yet because of what you're going to bring home.
Sure.
And, or transportation issues. A lot of people were like, when they were home, it was easy. And then it's like, oh gosh, now I have to get you to school, and I have to get to work, and how am I going to do this? And then there were also just families that were like, I really like this. I love having my kids home with me, but I don't know what to do with them now. Like, once distance learning ended and there wasn't a teacher telling them what to do, they were like, well, I like them here, but I don't know what to do now. So, we stepped in, and our director, Terry Budke, just, really had this like idea, and she helped create this beautiful program where all of that stuff was figured out for them.
Sure.
And, it's really cool having been on the ground floor of that with her and the other facilitators, and, like Tina Toval, our lead, because everyone brought in different experience. Like, some of us are from the traditional homeschool world. Some of us are from the classroom. Some of us have been with iLead forever.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. And some of us haven't. Some of us are, brand new to it. Okay. And, but we all just dug in our heels and figured out this, what do we need? What do we need to do? And we put it together, and families have really responded well to it, I think. And we're growing now, and we're at, we have new learners, we have new facilitators. So I think it's going well.
Fantastic. Megan Hernandez with iLeadAV Exploration, the most innovative in free public charter hybrid learning. Megan, you talked about the types of families that are coming to your school. Let's talk about the individual students. Let's drill down on the kids themselves. What kind of student really thrives in this type of a program? Well,
again, I would say any, because while it was, designed for, this specific kind of family, we've ended up it's the word is spreading, people tell their friends. We have kids who are super motivated. They're used to structure. Like, they want to get their work done. They want to, like I said, do all the things. We have learners who are reluctant. Part of my job is, meeting with a family, and the mom is saying like, she just doesn't want to do her work. And like, okay, let's talk about that. why doesn't she want to do her work? Well, maybe it's because this is a little too hard for her. So how can we adjust that? And we make adjustments all the time. We really do cater to the individual learner. They need a lot of supports. And like I said, we're always adjusting. Like right now we're looking into a new curriculum for some of those learners who may have like the bigger gaps,
Okay.
and who also maybe they're older and their parents are working more, and so they need something that's a little bit more self-directed.
I see.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're working on that right now, because we're not ever going to say like, this is it. Like, we do provide the curriculum, but we're never going to say this is it, take it or leave it. We're going to say, oh, this isn't working for you. Okay, how can we help?
I love that, where you're seeing, in the beginning, you saw a need and built a program to customize to that need. But as you see the needs growing, you're continuing to grow and modify the program.
Yeah.
Because it's about meeting the needs for the kids. We've got a quote up in our office that says, if the child's not learning the way we're teaching them, we need to teach them the way the child can learn.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're doing. I love that. Now, I understand, Megan, that at iLeadAV Exploration, you're preparing for a POL, and we love our acronyms in education, and I feel like we do it so that the average Joe can't figure out what we're talking about. What we're talking about is a presentation of learning, and these are things that happen pretty commonly at all of our iLead schools. Can you share with our listeners why presentations of learning are important in the learning process?
Sure. So the whole concept behind the project-based learning is just that the learners taking ownership of their own learning. They're taking it into their own hands, and they're making it look how they want it to look. Okay. And so, right now we're doing a living history POL. So, each learner gets to choose, and it's based on their social studies standards. So, like, the third graders are choosing like American heroes, whereas like the kindergartners are doing like community heroes, things like that.
Okay.
But they get to actually be that person. So they're going to
Okay.
dress up like them. We're calling it like a night at the museum kind of thing,
I love that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And we've done it, we did it a couple years ago. So we were really excited to do it this year now that we've grown, so that more learners and families can experience it. And they're going to give a speech as that person. So, it's not Abraham Lincoln was born. It's, I'm Abraham Lincoln.
Right. And I was born. Okay.
And some of them, they dress up. They create an artifact, which is, like we tell them just something that represents their person. So they have to put a lot of thought into this. They have to, it's more than just memorizing facts about Abraham Lincoln or, Harriet Tubman. It's more about like experiencing that, that time and just really wrapping their mind around it. So they create an artifact, they give a speech, and then they present it. And they don't have to get up on a stage. It's usually more of like a gallery style. So people are going to walk up and they'll be like,
okay,
oh, who are you? I'm like, oh, well, I'm Abraham Lincoln. And then they give their little speech, they show their artifact, they explain why they made this artifact, what it has to do with their person, what does it represent. So it's really kind of like, getting their minds to wrap around it more than just memorizing those facts. And it's really great for them because public speaking is super hard for a lot of people. And they get to do it in a safe environment. These are all of like their friends and the parents of their friends.
Sure.
Because, one of the things that we also do, I think, really well is we've really built this beautiful community. So they're comfortable with these people. They see them at our meetups. They see them at our workshops. And so it's a safe environment, but they get that practice of like, okay, I'm gonna say these words in front of people.
Well, yeah, which is super important. That's one of those things. I love education, and so I'm constantly reading and researching. And the big buzz for the last few decades has been 21st century learning skills, right? And so we think about computers and 3D printers, but one of the most important 21st century skills is speaking.
Right.
And you mentioned it. So many of us are afraid of it. So few of us can do it well. But if you've ever met a 3-year-old, you know that they are comfortable and good at public speaking. And we scare it out of them. But by taking them when they're 4 years old and having them do it on a regular basis, they're developing those important skills that they need in life. And I don't care what career you go into. It's funny. I have a brother-in-law who became an engineer because he hates working with others and he hates public speaking. And he builds radar systems for a living and travels to countries around the world to train people that speak English as a second language. Half of his job is public speaking
Right.
as an engineer.
That backfired, I guess.
Right. So super important.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that people say when they visit your program, any of our schools. Your kids are so eloquent and they express themselves so well.
Yeah, iLead is so great about that, with their their ambassadors. I don't think that's what they call them, but
We do have ambassadors.
when someone comes to the classroom or for a tour, they have the learners speak to them and teach them about this is our school. And it's so that they're really getting that public speaking, but they're also taking ownership over their learning. And that's what this is a big part of this also is this is what I learned and it's my job to impart that to you, not on a piece of paper, not oh, look at my poster board. There it is.
Right.
It's I'm going to tell you.
Sure. I love how you just you meet the learners where they're at and then you allow them to grow in the way that they need to grow, but to maximize that growth. It's absolutely beautiful. I want to talk about the experience of working at iLead, but before we do, we've been talking for a good 20, 30 minutes now about iLeadAV exploration. I'm sure families are intrigued. Where do they go to get more information, or if they're super excited and they want to smash that enrollment button now, how do they do that?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, here's the tricky part. It's iLeadAV.org, but there are 2 programs.
Right, because we have the studio where kids go 5 days a week. You drop
Right.
them off. Right. Okay.
Yeah, so we work together, we share a space, but we are different programs, so that's the only thing I will say. If you are interested in our program, go to iLeadAV.org, but make sure you click on exploration.
Okay.
Or anything that says exploration or home study.
So I'm looking at the website right now, iLeadAV.org, and right in the top, sort of leftish corner near the logo, it says learning options. So yeah, if I click on learning, oh, here it is, iLeadAV Hybrid Studio. That's the drop-off every 5 days a week. But then iLeadAV Exploration Home Study. Very obvious right there.
Home study,
so click on that, and there it is.
Yeah,
and
enroll now. You can fill out an application, and we do still have room for some grade levels. Some you might be on a wait list, but as that wait list grows, then
sure. And around the semester turn, which we're coming up on the holiday, right outside here, they're decorating for the holidays already, and
they are.
and that's when we start to get into semester 2. There's always some movement there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, absolutely. Again, iLeadAV.org, and then look for the exploration or the home study button, and check them out. So I want to talk about. You mentioned in the bio that you sent me that you found your forever home, and you seem very happy here. So tell us how you found us at iLeadAV Exploration.
Well, actually, I heard about it from our director because I had worked with her at a different charter.
Sneaky, Terry, very sneaky.
Well, no, but she and I had a lot of the same, just concerns and about, the future of home study and, just wanting that more support and things like that. So we spoke about it, and I said, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. This sounds perfect. After COVID, I was having these families that were coming to me, the kind of families that we serve now that were coming to me, and they're like, well, what curriculum do I pick? Okay, sure, I can help you. But then, well, what about this? Well, can you jump on Zoom and help him with his math? I'm like, yeah, I loved it. I loved all that stuff. But so I was noticing that was happening more and more, and I was loving it. But it's just the model wasn't really set up for that. And so when she explained this program to me, I just was like, oh, I have to be a part of that. So luckily, she gave me the job and let me do it. Yeah, it's just our team is just so fantastic. Everybody works so well together. Everybody's heart is in it. I think that's when you start a program, it's not easy. We joke that we trauma bonded because it's just a lot of work, and I mean, especially for those the higher our leaders basically. But we were all figuring this stuff out and trying this. Well, that didn't work, and we did that, and I feel like because of that, everybody is it's such a very close closely knit team. But as we grow and we welcome new facilitators, everybody just sort of like blends in beautifully. It's like this, it's like magic. I mean, it's a lot of hard work, but I think we're just also really lucky. We've just got like a really great team. So
I love that. I love that. So again, for families who are intrigued, they can go to iLeadAV.org. I'm also, if people are listening to you and they're intrigued about working, I notice you've got a now hiring button on the same website. And so families can go and they can click on the contact us or to get more information. They can also hit the enrollment button.
Sure.
So again, iLeadAV.org, and then look for that exploration link or anywhere it says home study, and you can get more information. Megan Hernandez, educational facilitator with iLeadAV Exploration. One last time, for more information, go to iLeadAV.org and choose the Exploration Home Study Program. Megan, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate it. You've been a lot of fun. Of course, I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We will be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We talked in the show open about some of the stories that we're following. The two biggest news stories of the week, of course, both here in the Valley and across the nation. First of all, Tuesday's election. As I mentioned, some of the contests have been determined and called already, and people have conceded and others have moved on. Donald Trump is starting to build his cabinet and make plans to move back into the White House. He won a second term, a non-consecutive term in the White House, just the second president to win a second non-consecutive term. It has happened before. Jen, I notice you're raising an eyebrow. Do you know the first?
Oh, no, I do not.
Okay, I had the answer to this wrong. I thought it was Teddy Roosevelt,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. Grover Cleveland. Grover, cool name. I should have named my kid Grover Cleveland Washington.
Sounds like a baseball
Watson.
player.
Right? It does. But, not all of other races have been called yet. Some of them are actually extremely small margins. So taking a look, right here in town, the 27th Congressional District, Mike Garcia, George Whiteside's running. That's a kind of a razor-thin margin. Mike Garcia leads by about a percentage point and a half.
Wow.
So ballots still being counted, still not called. Mike has held the lead pretty steadily since Tuesday night, but they're still counting. It still hasn't been called. A little bit bigger of a lead in the 23rd California Senate District. Suzette Martinez Valadares holding what looks like about a 5, maybe 6 percentage point lead over Kip Mueller. But they still haven't called it. 27th Senatorial District, it has been called for Henry Stern. Tom Lackey won re-election just north of here, the 34th Assembly District. Congratulations, Tom. The 40th Assembly District, Pilar Schiavo is the incumbent, and it still has not been called. She's holding what looks like about a 2.5 point lead over Patrick Lee Gibson. So still hasn't been called. Ballots still being counted. Although it does look like our next California senator is going to be Adam Schiff over Steve Garvey. So those are the legislative elections, and then the local results. There's some strong winners here, and then some, again, razor sharp or razor narrow margins. For example, in the City Council, District 1, we've got a three-way race between Bryce Jepson, Tim Burkhart, and Patsy Ayala. Bryce Jepson currently in third, but only by about, 3.5 percentage points. There is, almost exactly 1 percentage point difference between Patsy Ayala and Tim Burkhart. So they're going to still be counting ballots for quite some time in that one. For a while, I think Patsy was holding something like a 20-vote lead. Pretty crazy. So she's built that lead up a little bit, but again, still lots of ballots out there to count. We will see. However, kind of handily, the LA County District Attorney race, Nathan Hochman won that one. So George Gascon, no longer our district attorney. Let's see. And then interesting things going on, and we talked about it when Senator Scott Wilk was in here. Interesting things going on out at COC and on COC's school board. They've got 5 school board seats. One of them was filled by an appointment just a couple of months ago. So that one was filled just a couple of months ago. All 4 of the other seats were up for election this time, and it's looking like all 4 of the incumbents are out, although one of the races has not been called yet. Darlene Trevino it's been called. She beat Michelle Campbell. The one race that has not been called yet, incumbent Adele Alonso is currently trailing Scott Schauer by, what is it, about a percentage point and a half. Very, very close race there. Dr. Alonso has been the incumbent for quite a while, I believe, but currently trailing in that one. Still ballots to be counted. Another 3-way race for Trustee Area 3 at College of the Canyons. Looks like it's been called for Fred Arnold over Andrew Taban and Tasha Hogart. Area 4, Charlene Johnson, it's been called, has defeated Jerry Danielson. Another 3-way race that still has not been called for the Hart School District, the William S. Hart School District. We're talking about our junior highs and high schools. Although it does look like Dr. Akasha Uja is leading by a pretty decent margin, almost 7 points over Gloria Mercado Fortine and a few more points over the incumbent, Linda Storley. So 3-way race, and the incumbent, Linda Storley, in 3rd place right now. Interesting race. Erin Wilson, also in the Hart School District, has pretty handily won re-election. She had been appointed to her seat a couple years back and has won re-election in Area 4 for the William S. Hart School District. Not going to go through all of them, but yeah, you know what? Check out the results at hometownstation.com. KHTS is keeping things updated as the ballots are getting counted, and as updates come through, we are updating the website here. So again, go to hometownstation.com for more election results. And then also in the other top story of the week, right after the election, it seems like as the ballots were coming in, the winds were whipping up. Santa Ana winds picked up Wednesday morning, as they do here in the fall in Southern California, with gusts exceeding 80 miles an hour. And it was
incredible.
Funny. I texted a friend on Wednesday morning and said, wow, either the candidates have been really good about picking up their signs or the wind is doing it for them. But that, combined with extremely dry weather that we've been having lately, made for the perfect terrible mix of fire weather. And boy, have we had some horrible fires this week. Most notably, the mountain fire there in Ventura County, and I say there in Ventura County, not far from here.
Yeah.
You know, I had our founding school, SCVi, had an informational night out in Fillmore on Wednesday evening, and we were a little jittery heading out that way because that fire it started kind of north of the 118 freeway in Camarillo and that area there, but kind of quickly went up the hill toward Moore Park and then crested the hill and came down toward Santa Paula, Fillmore, Piru area. And so while we were hosting that information night, just right here up the road in Fillmore, we could see the flames coming in. And so, that has been devastating is the only word to think of. The fire broke out shortly before 9 a.m. It was like right as soon as the winds picked up Wednesday morning. The fire broke out on South Mountain, is what it's called, right there among the ranch properties in Somis. Beautiful, beautiful homes in the Somis area. And as of 7 p.m. last night, at least 132 structures, horrifically, most of them homes, most of them single-family homes, had been destroyed. Not burned, destroyed, burnt to the ground, nothing but the chimney left. And then another 88 homes damaged. So we're talking about over 100 homes affected by this fire, and most of them just completely burnt to the ground.
And I think that's one of those things where, we see it in the news and we read about it and you see the images, the videos and pictures, but you don't really understand what that means. Like, think about what that means for that family. There's, kids in the house, and their belongings are just completely wasted, and it's hard to kind of put yourself in that position. Like, what do you do now? What's the next step?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And it's it's so close to us. I'm sure most of us know someone who's affected. On Wednesday, I had to send an employee home early because she had to go make sure that her pets were okay, and her parents had been evacuated. We had a student whose family's home was destroyed. So it is absolutely devastating. Governor Gavin Newsom has declared a state of emergency for Ventura County, so hopefully they'll get the state aid that they need. Over 10,000 residents have been evacuated, over 20,000 acres burned. And again, this is all as of 7 p.m. last night. Fire's only at 5% containment.
Jeez.
Now, to go from 0% to 5% is a huge step, right? That means they're getting a hand on it. Fortunately, the cool weather and the winds dying down has helped. But things still burning, families still evacuated. And it's just, it's absolutely devastating. So, friends, say a prayer for your neighbors, lend a hand if you can, and hold your loved ones tight. And you know what? I know that election was contentious, but no matter who you were pulling for, no matter how frustrated or elated you might be, we need to pull together, Santa Clarita. We need each other. Stay safe, be well, do good, and stick around, because we've got more show coming up. After the break, we'll be talking about Veterans Day with a couple of guys who are giving their all to make sure that our veterans and their families have access to the services that they need and deserve. Stay tuned. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. And we're heading in to a 3-day weekend here, y'all. So, but you know what? This one is not for sleeping, not even for barbecuing. Monday is Veterans Day. It's a day to honor those who have served to protect us, our nation, and our democracy. And joining me now, representing the Santa Clarita Veterans Services Collaborative, are Jeff Stabile and Dennis Sugasawara. I got close, Dennis. I got close.
I'll give you a button.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Jen did much better over the commercial break, though. Jeff is a U.S. Air Force and Vietnam veteran who has been volunteering with the collaborative since 2018 in a myriad of ways, from conducting fundraisers to training other volunteers and publishing the organization's newsletter. He's also volunteered with the Special Olympics, Red Cross, graffiti removal programs, and the Suicide Prevention, Postvention, and Wellness Committee of LA County. Jeff and his wife Peggy also started the Santa Clarita Valley chapter of PFLAG. And Dennis is a longtime resident of Santa Clarita and a U.S. Army veteran who also had a previous career in the entertainment industry. It's interesting, when I Google you, Dennis, everything comes up. As an alumnus of Cal State University Northridge, Dennis has made a commitment to community involvement, particularly after transitioning from caring for his ailing parents. He served on several boards of directors in the Santa Clarita Valley and volunteered for organizations such as the Child and Family Center, the Seroptimist International of Greater Santa Clarita Valley, and the Santa Clarita Valley Boys and Girls Clubs. He's the Director of Business and Community Affairs for the Veteran Services Collaborative, a position that, Jeff, you held recently as well. Gentlemen, thank you both for joining us. Thank you for your service, and welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Thank you for having us here.
So glad you're here, and we love talking to you guys about the Veteran Services Collaborative. We try to get you in right before every Veterans Day, because it's when those things are on people's mind. But the areas of service, the needs that our veterans have, are great year-round. You're both very active in the community, so let's start there. Can you share with our listeners what brought you to Santa Clarita and what motivates you both to be so active in supporting others in our community?
Well, my wife and I moved here in 1979. That's when nothing was on the west side of the 5. But the company that I transferred out with, there were several people that lived up here. So they would invite me up, until Peg and the kids came out. And I saw the community and said, hey, this is really nice. So that's it. We didn't look anywhere else. We just settled on Santa Clarita, and that's it.
All right. It's about the time I moved up here, and that's my dad would tell me there's nothing up there but sticks and snakes, and be careful, the snakes are the ones that move. Dennis, what about you?
We got here 1990. My ex-wife and I, we were just newly married, and this was the place we could afford. I wanted to live in the valley, but we couldn't afford that, and I thought this was the end of the world. I thought this was past the end of the world when I first came here. And the odd thing was I justified, okay, we can move here, number one, because we could afford it, and number two, because I was in entertainment, we were shooting a lot of stuff out here once you got out of pre-production. So I thought, okay, I can make this work. And of course, they say that, you have these plans, God laughs.
Yeah.
Well, I never got to shoot again once I moved out here.
Oh, well, that's funny because it happened to you and not me. But yeah, we do a lot of filming up here. Gosh, and yeah, I remember back in those days when Santa Clarita was affordable.
Well, yeah, there was no Stevenson's Ranch. It was all,
Right.
we used to shoot out there. We used to shoot at all the different movie ranches out here too, and that just went away when I said, okay, let's move here.
Yeah, sure. But our community is so much better that you did move out here. So,
Yeah,
thank you very much. So let's talk about the Veteran Services Collaborative. Can you tell us when it was founded?
It was founded actually in the fall of 2017.
Okay.
And then the Veteran Center that we have up here opened up in 2018. And it's been going ever since. And we now have probably 30 regular volunteers and then a additional list of another 20 or 25 that help out on weekends or at night because they're working full time.
Sure.
And some of our volunteers have been with us ever since 2018, and so it's all volunteer. We just moved to new facilities.
That's what I heard.
We're located up on Newhall Avenue, right in the Douglas Furniture Plaza.
Yeah.
He owns some, buildings right near the furniture. So we were able to negotiate with him, and our past, landlord was really good to us. He kept the cost low as long as he could, and we understood business is a business, and he had to do that. So, but we're now at our new place.
Okay, so founded in 2017, but really got going in 2018, and that's when you started volunteering for the collaborative. Dennis, I understand that you're a little bit newer. So what led you to join the work that Jeff and others are doing along with Veteran Services Collaborative?
I heard about the Veterans Collaborative, but I never associated myself with it because I was involved in all these other things. But we had a mutual friend who has another foundation that Albert helps him out with. And so he reached out to Albert saying, we are moving, we don't have the funds to actually make this move happen and without spending the money that we already have. So they wanted to put a fundraiser together, and they'd never done that before. I thought this new group of board members never done one. When I found out later on, they've never done one before.
Okay.
So we met Jeff, Albert, and Ethan and we all met for lunch and talked about it. And I said, yeah, I'm happy to help out. It's a really great organization. I've heard so much about it. And in 2.5 months, we put together a fundraiser that we actually met our needs.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So it always touches me. There's a couple times throughout the year where the city will put up banners of our different veterans, and it's neat to see not just banners saying we support veterans, but to actually have the photos and the names of the different veterans all over town. And that's when it impresses on me, wow, this really is a military town. We don't have a base in the area, but we've got a lot of veterans. Do you all know, do you keep track of numbers? How many veterans do we have in the Santa Clarita area?
The last time I checked, within the 5 zip codes of the city, about 10,400.
Wow.
So that doesn't include the unincorporated areas outside. So it's really much larger than that, but I haven't checked recently.
No, that's fine. And we'll just go with well over 10,000 veterans here in the Santa Clarita area. And, they all have a variety of needs. And as veterans, we really, I think everybody would agree we can't do well enough by them. And there are a lot of services out there, and services continuing to grow, but not everybody is tapped into what is available to them. So can you talk to us about what exactly the Veterans Collaborative is, what services you provide, how do you work with our veterans?
Well, it's, as I say, all volunteer work. We have, there are 21 community services that we provide resources and referrals. And these are companies and organizations that have decided they wanted to provide their services either free or for very low cost to the veteran. Most everything is at no cost. So we can refer people, we can provide information to them. We do VA benefit counseling, which is really important because a lot of veterans just don't know what they're entitled to. And I use that term entitled because some of them feel, well, I don't deserve this, and other people need it more than I do. It's like, wait a minute, you put in your time.
Sure, yes.
You're entitled to these, okay? They're there. Take advantage of them. And so they will come in. We will explain the different benefits. We have VA benefit counselors come in, and they will help with paperwork and putting everything together to get them ready to put their claim in.
Okay.
And this way, a lot of their questions are answered. The forms are filled out, so when they go to the veteran service officer, who is the one who can initiate claims, etc., most of the work is done. And so we take some of that burden off of the VSO, and we take it out. So we have a lot of people that come in for the benefit counseling there. We also provide a food bank. We have medical equipment, computers that they can come in and use. The important thing is we do veterans, active duty, and their families, and the caregivers, because many veterans aren't mobile.
Right.
So the caregiver is the only person that can speak on their behalf, etc. So we treat them the same as family. Okay, so caregiver comes in, any one of the services that we provide, it's available to the caregiver as well as any family member.
So if you're a veteran, if you're a family member of a veteran, if you're taking care of a veteran, then the Veterans Collaborative will help take care of you.
Right.
You know, my dad growing up taught me that one of the most important things in life is to have a guy, right? If something's wrong with the car, you need to know a guy who can take care of your car. You don't want to get taken advantage of by a mechanic. And you know, if you're looking to do this or do that, you gotta have a guy. So
guy, he was one of those. You got a guy, I got a guy.
Right, exactly. So like, you know, there are guys that have tool belts and they've got tools all over. My dad just had guys, right?
Yeah.
You guys are the guy, right? You're the
Yes.
ones that connect veterans and their families and caregivers with those services that they need, and that is remarkably important. And Jeff, you mentioned something very interesting. There are a lot of veterans that maybe they weren't wounded in combat, maybe they're not an amputee, and they don't maybe necessarily equate their needs with their service, but as folks who have put themselves on the line for our country, they are entitled to these services, and they, you know, maybe they've got needs, right? We've all got needs, and so what are some of the top resources that you would recommend as kind of a starting point for people kind of getting connected to the collaborative?
Well, the one of the first things is just come on in, okay?
Okay.
It's hard sometimes for veterans to make that step, especially male veterans, to make that step.
Interesting.
But you come in and all we ask you is, how can we help you? And we get them to start talking, and all of a sudden we find out, well, they have this, they may have this kind of ailment, they're going through this issue, etc. Then we can start pairing them with these resources or with the VA benefit counselors. And that's probably the most important thing, is just come in, walk through the door, and just talk to us. And it's a very friendly, warm environment. when people come into the Veteran Center. We get a lot of veterans that come in and start talking, and then afterwards say, I've never told my family any of this. And that's really touching when you sit there and realize that they feel comfortable enough to talk about things that happened many, many years ago that are still affecting them, but they can't feel they can talk to their family about it. But because they come in, and this is a veteran center, and you're dealing with a lot of veterans, all of a sudden it's like, you're my guy, as you're saying, okay, that type of thing. I've got this guy over here. So it's just come on in, okay? That's the first step. And what's really important is getting to know what benefits you're entitled to. And that is federal as well as state, because CalVet has benefits that federal doesn't. For example,
I didn't know that.
Tuition for your kids.
All right.
If you're a certain percentage, you have tuition free at colleges throughout the state. And if you, through CalVet and the VSOs, if you want to get, an ID on your license, et cetera, you go through that. All of that is through CalVet. That's not federal. The federal, people can go onto va.gov to look at the website, and it's just a humongous website. It has so much information that they look at it and they go, I did, but I just got lost. So we'll walk them through, put them down to the computer. Okay, here are the forms. Let's print these out. Here's what you need to fill out, et cetera. And it's really, really helpful. And a lot of people say, boy, I didn't know that I was entitled to this. You know? And they just felt somebody else is more deserving. Well, no, you're deserving as well as anybody else.
Absolutely. And like you said, if not for you, for your kids, right? Get them connected. Boy, college tuition is not cheap. But lots more than that. And I can imagine that a lot of folks come in. I love the pitch that you give. Just come in. Just come in. I can imagine a lot of folks come in just to sit and talk, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
we'll have people, sometimes they bring their parent in.
Okay.
And in a nice way kind of ask, can you kind of sit and talk with him? I got to run a few errands. And we realize that it's difficult. And, Dennis, you were, taking care of your parents. If you're having to go out, do things, and you have to take your parent along with you.
Sure.
It takes a little difficult. So they'll drop them off, and we'll have somebody sit for an hour and a half, and just start asking questions about where'd you serve, what'd you do, et cetera. And then all you have to do is sit back.
Yeah.
And once they feel comfortable, they can talk for an hour and a half about all the things that they did in the military.
Yeah. And that connection is important, and sometimes we do it's so helpful to just talk to others, especially others that have a common experience. And then I'm sure that family members sometimes will drop someone off and figure they're just going to talk and they're keep an eye on them for a little bit, come back and mom or dad will say, well, hang on, I'm not ready to leave yet. They're helping me fill out this paperwork. Did you realize that I have access to? So that is fantastic. Again, love the pitch. Just come in. So what does just come in look like? Where do they start? Do they start at a website, at a phone number, or do they just walk into your office? If so, can you explain again where that is?
Yes, to all of that.
Okay.
They can walk in 23681 Newhall Avenue, right next to Douglas Furniture.
Okay.
And say we're open from 9 to 4. They can come in, just walk in. Don't need an appointment or anything like that. They can go on the website. They can take a look at a lot of the services, because we have a resource page on the website where they can take a look at what's available. The phone number's there, so they can give a call. And interestingly, we get calls from Florida, Arizona, Texas, Washington, Oregon, where somebody has a relative that is out here.
I see.
That they're having a difficult time and they need some help, and so we try and help them, and we then take them and tie them with some resources that can assist them. So it's not just that you have to be within this valley. You can call from anywhere.
Sure.
And no problem.
Yeah,
I
Dennis?
kind of like to add, because I'm very new at it, but
Please.
the times I've been there and observed, it's not just an informative place. It's actually like going there and hanging out with friends and at a coffee shop, you know. And that's what the most impactful thing I saw is these people are just coming in. They've been there a number of times, but they're there to meet their friends. They're there to chat. They're there to have lunch.
Sure. Yeah, that fraternal grouping is so important. You and the rest of the volunteers are doing such amazing work. Dennis Sugasawara, Jeff Stabile from the Santa Clarita Veterans Services Collaborative joining me this morning, supporting those who served and their families and their caregivers. When we get back, I understand the collaborative has recently, you mentioned, moved into a new home, and you've got a special event coming up this month. I want to talk about that as well. Stay tuned. I'm Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley, and you're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Joining me this morning are Dennis Sugasawara and Jeff Stabile from the Santa Clarita Valley Veterans Services Collaborative. You're providing services, you're connecting veterans to the services that they are, as you mentioned so eloquently, Jeff, entitled to. They've served their country. It's time for their country to serve them with whatever they need, but providing so much more than just connecting them to different services around the state and country. But you've also got an event coming up. I understand on November 21st, there's going to be a special event supporting the Veterans Collaborative. Can you tell us about the event you're putting on?
Yes, we're calling it Bringing It Home, and because the money that we're going to be getting from that fundraiser will be going towards providing holiday meals for all the veterans and their families.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so
That was the purpose of it.
What is the event? Where is it?
It's basically a wine night over at Salt Creek. Greg Amsler has been graciously hosted his restaurant, along with providing the food and the wine. So basically, we just, for $75, you go in and you just have a good time and enjoy, have conversations, and we hope that it'll fill up and we can provide as many people, as many vets as we can, with again, like I said, with holiday meals.
Fantastic. So, so it's at Salt Creek on the 21st of November.
Yes.
What time? I'm assuming the
Between
evening?
6 and 8 p.m.
Okay, 6 and 8 p.m., $75. And, you know, I'm sure everybody's been to Salt Creek. First of all, you mentioned the owner, Greg. He is fantastic, and he is constantly giving back to the community, but also provides some amazing food and wine out there.
Absolutely.
So it's, I'm sorry, you said a wine event. There's also going to be
Hors d'oeuvres.
hors d'oeuvres,
Yes.
some snacks. So you're going to get some fantastic food and wine and a great time, and you're supporting veterans in our town for only $75. I just dropped the flyer here on our Facebook Live feed, but it's also available on your website, scv-vets.org. So that'll be fantastic. And again, it's going to be to provide holiday meals to veterans here in Santa Clarita.
Yes.
Fantastic. So check that out. How do folks get tickets? Is it just going to the website?
Go on the website. We have flyers out there. There'll be a QR code on top of it, so that'll get you directly to buying a ticket.
Okay, fantastic. So this Monday is Veterans Day, gentlemen. So what are your plans? How are you commemorating the holiday?
We'll be over at the Heritage Park, celebrating the veterans, with the city.
Yeah, we'll have a resource table there.
Oh,
we do
great.
every year, and
Okay.
so that anybody has any questions, they can come up and ask and get whatever information they need.
Perfect. So I love that you're going to have the resource table there. Like you said, with that pitch of just come in, just head on down to the park right across the street here in downtown Newhall. I love Heritage Park. Over the last, decade or so, our city's done some beautiful things. I think it was a veteran such as yourselves, Bill Reynolds, who was instrumental
Right.
in getting that park kind of put together. So you'll have the resource table. Great way for veterans to just swing by and say, "Hey, I heard you with that jughead on the radio on Friday. What have you guys got? I don't know if I need. I don't know if I deserve. But what have you guys got?" So you guys will have all the resources. And,
Yep.
Fantastic. Okay, beautiful. So you mentioned before that you support veterans' families. And I know, Jeff, you and I have talked several times before. It's not just, okay, if you're a family member taking care of a veteran, you can bring them by. Your support for families goes a lot deeper than that. Can you talk about some of the services that you provide for family members or caregivers of veterans?
Well, a lot of veterans, depending on their compensation rate from the VA, the spouse is entitled to some benefits also. Now, but one of the major problems that we have is the veteran spouse will pass away, and then they come in and say, well, do I keep getting my benefits or what's going on? And we have an entire survivors packet that we can give them that has all the forms. We actually encourage some of the people, I know it's hard, but come in before that day comes.
Okay.
So you can be prepared for that. So as far as families, we help a number of widows or widowers to see what they're still entitled to.
Okay.
We can let them know what the kids and their offspring are entitled to.
All right.
Under the program. And some families just say, we need some help because of this or because of that, whatever it is. And we say, okay, tell us just a little bit more, without getting too personal, and we will connect you with a resource or referral that can directly address that issue. The key is when people come in, we want them to walk out the door with something they can action that day.
Oh, I love it.
The VA helps a lot, but the VA is a big organization, and it's got a huge staff, et cetera. So sometimes getting an appointment is like 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks down the road or longer. And some of the people are so frustrated they need to do something. So that's why our goal is give them something they can do today to feel like they're moving forward.
Sure.
Okay. And sometimes it is referring to, get that appointment at the VA, but here's stuff that you can put together and read. So when you go down for that appointment, you have all of this background and you've got this homework done.
Right.
And we have a number of family members come in and say, I can't get our veteran to do anything. And they will call me and say, has he come in yet? Have they come in yet?
I like it.
And sometimes it's like a joint effort to have them come in. But once the veteran comes in, they find out what they are entitled to. You see the smile or the glow on their face when they leave because they accomplished something. And that's all we're there to do is help them accomplish what they need to do.
I really appreciate that. I love that it's, that goal is you don't leave until we get something in the works. And very important advice that you gave. If you're married to a veteran and to come in before end of life and make sure that you kind of are making, you're doing that planning to understand what services you're going to continue to retain and what benefits you're going to lose when your husband, when your wife passes on. You mentioned also several times that the children of veterans have certain benefits, and some they may lose after mom or dad pass, and some they may retain. But society, well, gosh, it hasn't changed a ton. This has been a reality for a long time with reorganized families. What about step families, things like that? my mother didn't serve, but she married a man who did. Do stepchildren have access to benefits, or is that something? Does that get really complicated?
There's things working in Washington to accomplish that. Right now, it's kind of difficult to really say what the stepchildren or et cetera are entitled to, but there is some movement in Washington to set up some legislation that would allow people that the veteran has passed away and the spouse remarries, that they don't lose the benefits that they had before when the person was alive. And that's a difficult one to work out. So, but that has to be done through legislation.
Okay, yeah, because it is interesting, and in some cases, it's stepdad is the veteran and was an important. I've got tons of friends that he's not my biological father, but I call him dad. He's been every bit the dad. So where do benefits come in? Again, it starts with just come in and we'll help you figure that out. I love that. And then once again, I want to come back to the event, Dennis, that you're putting on, bringing it home, helping to provide holiday meals for veterans. That's something I think everyone can get behind. Again, it's going to be on Thursday, November 21st, 6 to 8 p.m. You know what that is? That's a perfect date night, Dennis. That is a perfect date night, Thursday night. Get your honey out there.
It is.
Enjoy some wine and some hors d'oeuvres out there at Salt Creek.
And I believe we'll have some good conversations going along there.
I'm sure there'll be some amazing conversation. Now, what if somebody says, yeah, I want to get behind that event, and I'll buy my ticket, and but you know what? I want to go one step further. Do you need volunteers to work the event? Do you need help
We
at the event?
actually got that taken care of.
You got it
right
covered.
Off the bat,
Love it.
Volunteered for that. So.
Love it. Okay, so now let's go beyond. What about supporting outside of this event, the collaborative? Do you all take donations? I know I hear you have a lot of volunteers. So how would folks get connected if they want to support either financially or with their time?
I think they can go on correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, they can go on the website there is a button to donate. As far as volunteer, as Jeff said, just come on in. We'll take care of that.
Okay.
Yeah, we work strictly on donations. We have no funding from anybody. So whatever we can collect through donations is what keeps us going. And so it's very, very important. So as Dennis says, you can go on the website. Matter of fact, we've had some people purchase tickets to this event and then add additional money as a donation, which is really, really nice.
Yeah. So the event's $75, but what if I want to pay $100 for my ticket? Boom, do it.
Yeah.
It's a nice round number in your checkbook.
Yeah, that's fine. And we have a little donation box, and people will come in and drop $1 or $2 here, but it really adds up over a period of time, and those help with office supplies and keeping things going in the office. So they can donate a little bit when they come in. They can write a check, mail it in, whatever they want to do. They can bring in cash,
Yeah, definitely.
Any way you can get money to us, we'll take it.
And also some of the things that right there at the collaborative, the food bank, we also have toiletry items and all that. And
Okay.
sometimes they get short, so that donation helps resupply that.
Okay. And then, business owners, if you own a grocery store or a place that has those vital
And just
vital
as
items.
equally as good, and I'm learning this too, is like if you are a business that wants to participate and help the veterans out with some sort of, like, let's say I'm a plumber, and I'll give, if you're a vet, I'll give you a discount.
Oh,
You know,
fantastic.
we
Yeah.
will support that.
Okay. Terrific. Gosh, it seems like everybody these days is getting tipped, right? I was ordering something online, and it said add a tip to the person in the warehouse that you're never going to meet. You know what? If you're heading into the Veterans Collab, bring a tip. Drop it in the bucket there. So any specific needs? We're heading into the winter. Are there any other specific needs, or is it mostly financial that you guys need support with?
Most of it is financial.
Okay.
We could always use additional volunteers to help out, to fill in when people get sick, things of that nature. but primarily financial, so that we can keep the center open, and then we can provide the services to veterans and their families, like we're doing with this fundraiser, you know, to help them during holidays.
Sure.
And other times, and then at other times, just come in and use the food bank. It's here.
Yeah.
There's the shopping bags. Pick up what you need, and keeping that replenished.
Yes.
Is something that we'll have food drives, and we're having to have more and more of those.
Yeah.
Because there's more and more use of the food drive, the food
Greater
pantry
need.
right now.
All right. I love the model of your organization. You said it's all volunteer-based. You know, that's one of the things when folks are looking for a nonprofit or a charitable organization to donate to, they often will look at the administrative costs, right? Sure, they're doing great work, but 50% of what they bring in goes to administrative costs. Y'all are keeping that at a bare minimum. Of course, you've got to pay rent, and you're here in Santa Clarita, so it's not cheap, but then everybody that works for you is volunteer, and you're providing veterans connections to those incredibly important services that they need, that they deserve, that they're entitled to, and in often cases, services that they don't realize that they have access to.
Right.
So, Dennis, Jeff, I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning. Thank you very much for your service, and thank you for all that you continue to do for the men and women who have served. Jeff Stabile, Dennis Sugasawara from the Santa Clarita Veteran Services Collaborative. Check out their website and check out the event that they've got going on. Again, November 21st, 6 to 8 p.m. Grab your tickets because they're going to go fast. You know the food and wine that they've got at Salt Creek is amazing. So these tickets are not going to stick around. Head over to scv-vets.org. Get your tickets to Bringing It Home Thursday night, November 21st, 6 to 8 p.m. Gentlemen, have a wonderful Veterans Day, and again, thank you for your service.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Matt.
Absolutely. And y'all stick around. When we get back, Big T is coming by with trivia and his own unique brand of buffoonery. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and now, despite popular demand, it is time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Y'all know Big T. Big T is an executive and a philanthropist. He's an amazing father, husband, and dog dad, and currently he is picking a fight with St. Peter, ladies and gentlemen. Here he is. He's Mom's favorite. Big T, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Maddie.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jen.
Hi.
Good morning.
All righty. Big T, I'm going to do a quick rundown of the rules for those new listeners out there. And if you are a new listener, where the heck you been? We're here every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. But Big T's got trivia questions for us. Jen, Andrew, and I are going to play. We're going to hit our buzzers by calling out our names. But you don't have a buzzer at home, so you don't have to call out your name. So you get a competitive advantage. See if you can beat us. I don't think you're going to be able to do it, though. We're pretty smart, aren't we, Jen?
Sometimes. Let's not get crazy.
All right, Big T, I'm going to switch my name over to Frogger. Nobody knows why, but we're going to do that. What have you got for us today, brother man?
So Papa's pick last week was Penn State.
Papa had the Nittany Lions. How'd they do?
They lost.
Hey, you know what? I faded Papa last week, and I'm happy I did.
That seems to be a trend.
Right.
Papa's now 3-5. His pick this week is Syracuse and the 2 points. We know it's not a surprise. We know Papa loves his newspaper, so we might as well pick a journalism school.
Okay, perfect. Papa's 3-5. Wow, that is not great, Papa. You may have to go back on a PIP again. We put him on a PIP a couple weeks ago, yeah.
So, a couple of quick fun facts, Maddie. So we just had our election on Tuesday. Did you know that the election was selected to be on the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November in order to find that beautiful sweet spot between being after the harvest season, yet before the cold weather and ice that would hinder voters from being able to get to the polls?
Who made that decision?
And, of course, those in California said, the what?
The what and the who?
And then you didn't bring it up, Frogger. I thought you might, but tomorrow's a special day in Big T's life. This is a special weekend for me. So
is it really, Big T? That's right. You've got a daughter that's having a birthday but that's not tomorrow, is it?
No, my daughter's birthday is on Sunday. She turns 21,
right.
And my birthday is tomorrow.
And you turn 22.
So now, at my age, Matt, my short-term memory is not so great, but my long-term memory is still intact. In fact, Exhibit A, 57 years and 9 months ago, I went to a party with Dad, and came home with Mom. Ba-dum-bum. All right, ready for some trivia?
It's my mother you're talking about, Big T.
Yes, please.
Jiminy Christmas.
Hey, it's not my fault. Cam
He is
Panis is the
feisty
guy.
today.
All right.
It's a nod to Jim Healy for you oldie oldsters out there.
George Michael and what other singer-songwriter
Frogger.
were founding members? Frogger.
Also known as the one with the hat, Andrew Ridgely.
That is correct.
Yes.
Alex Winter and Keanu Reeves star
Jen.
Andrew.
what? Jen?
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Well, we're knocking out the 80s trivia. I love it.
Stop the
What
show.
80s TV
What was
show-
the name of the actor that starred in that?
Alex Winter and
No.
Keanu Reeves.
No, Tony. I want him to say that
oh,
name.
oh.
Keanu Reeves.
Oh, okay.
He did say a little bit.
he struggled
It went
with
wonky, yeah.
It sounded like me introducing Dennis in the last segment.
It sounded like Keanu Reeves acting, didn't it?
You did. What do you do?
I'm an FBI agent.
All right.
What 80s TV show revolves around Kevin Arnold? a
Jen.
young man nowadays? Who was that first?
That was Jen.
Jen.
The Wonder Years.
Wonder Years is correct.
Jen's quick on the buzzer today.
Who Shot JR is a reference to what popular
Jen.
show from the 80s? Jen again.
Dallas.
Dallas is correct. Launched in 1980. What popular video game featured four ghosts named
Jen.
Jen again.
Pac-Man.
Pac-Man is correct.
Tony, I think you found our wheelhouse.
I know. Hey,
80s
I'm a
pop culture.
child of the 80s. What can I say?
80s pop culture.
I don't think I've finished the question yet. Beat It. Human
Jen.
Nature.
Okay.
Jen.
Michael
2 ways?
Jackson.
That is incorrect. You're
Frogger.
Ah, I knew it was going to
Frogger.
get me one of these days.
Frogger.
Frogger.
Thriller.
Thriller is correct.
What album?
Okay.
Yeah.
Human
That
Nature
serves me
and
right.
CYC are all singles off what album?
There we go.
I
There-
deserve that. I deserve it.
Well, hey, there
I'll take
are
it.
pros and cons to
Sure.
buzzing in
Yeah,
early.
it's a sweet spot. You got to
It
wait.
is, yeah.
Does Barry Manilow know that you rate his wardrobe? Is
Frogger.
a classic movie line. Frogger.
No, he does not. But the answer is Breakfast Club.
It is
Come
the Breakfast
on.
Club. Gag me with a spoon was a phrase coined by what
Frogger.
Southern California dialect? Frogger.
Oh, the dialect. Thank you for finishing the question. Val.
Val Speak, Valley Girl. We'll
Valley
give you that
Girl,
point.
All right.
Which 80s food court favorite was made from ice, orange juice, milk, and powdered egg white?
Jen.
Jen.
Orange Julius.
Orange Julius is correct. As if is a line
Andrew.
made famous by what night?
Wait, let him finish the question.
Clueless.
Clueless is correct. 1995
Nice.
Alicia Silverstone movie.
Engineer Andrew's on the board.
Hey, I knew all these. Okay, just
Yeah,
didn't
right.
chime in as quickly.
We're transitioning out of the 80s and into the 90s, folks.
Okay.
Whitney Houston's song "I Will Always Love You" is from what 1992?
Andrew.
Jen.
Andrew.
The Bodyguard.
Bodyguard's correct.
I was
Have you
going to
seen
go
it?
with Dolly
I was
Parton.
gonna go Dolly
Yeah.
Parton until he said the movie.
Gentlemen, have you seen that movie?
I have not, no.
Yes.
Wow, Mac keeps his band card, but he loses it for Barbie.
Right.
Grunge music and fashion notably took
Andrew.
root in what? Andrew.
Seattle.
Seattle's correct.
Tony,
Lance Bass.
Seattle's up there
Andrew.
by you.
Oh, you're dude. Wow.
Andrew, go ahead. I said one name. Andrew,
NSYNC.
go for it. NSYNC. Love it.
That's his favorite boy band.
Yeah, you're going to get on me for the Barbie movie. All right.
All right. Troy Bolton and Gabriela Montez are two of the main characters in what
Andrew.
2006
Oh.
Andrew.
High School Musical.
High School Musical. Nice pull.
Andrew's making an epic comeback
Yeah.
here.
There we go.
He sure is. In 2003, what Austrian-born actor became California's governor?
Frogger.
Andrew.
Frogger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is correct. Phone a Friend is an option
Frogger.
contestant. Was that Frogger?
You're going to have to make the call.
We're going to give it to Andrew.
All right.
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is correct. The reality show The Simple Life chronicles the life
Andrew.
and times of what? Andrew.
Oh, that was Paris Hilton.
Oh.
And
Ooh, I know.
Richie.
We'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie. You're flirting with losing that man card, though. It's close. You've been put on a yellow card.
All right.
Rebecca Welton, Roy Kent, Nathan
Frogger.
Schneider,
Jen.
and Frogger
That was you.
That is Ted Lasso.
are all characters from what popular Apple TV series Ted Lasso. If y'all haven't seen it, it's amazing.
It's a show that went away too soon.
No, they hit it. They nailed it.
You think so? Okay.
All right. Taylor Swift is named after what notable singer-songwriter?
Frogger.
Frogger.
James Taylor.
James Taylor's correct.
Yeah.
In 2003, what purple ice cream drink gained notoriety on social media after users pretended to die upon drinking it?
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
It was a comeback from when we were kids because they had it when we were kids.
Huh.
Restaurant chain
Is it from McDonald's?
from McDonald's.
The Grimace drink?
Yes.
The Grimace Shake. The Grimace Shake is
Shake,
correct. We'll
wow.
give Jen that.
Oh,
right.
that's my favorite dance move.
Yep.
We got time for two more, T. Two quick
All
ones.
right. What grade does Janine Tegas teach in Abbott Elementary School?
I don't know.
Andrew.
Andrew.
5th grade.
Frogger.
Incorrect. Anybody else?
Frogger. 4th grade.
Frogger. Incorrect, Jen.
9th grade.
2nd grade.
All right.
I said two more, but we're going to have to stop there with a three-way tie. 7 points for all three of us.
right.
Fantastic. Competition to be continued next week. Big T, thanks for swinging by. We also want to thank our guest, Megan Hernandez from iLeadAV Exploration, Free Hybrid Charter School, TK through 8th grade, Jeff Stabile and Dennis Sugasawara from the Santa Clarita Valley Veteran Services Collaborative, producer Sarah, engineer Andrew, engineer Jen, and thank you for listening. Remember, friends, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Do well and be good. And join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.